printmaking as a three-dimensional media. This chapter is one of the tough chapters, so I need you to do the note-taking in detail or understand all the techniques of printmaking. So let's see what we are going to learn. So, printing is a process for reproducing text and images using a master form or template. And in art, there are 5 big printing techniques. So there is a relief technique, intaglio technique, and lithography technique, and screen printing technique, and digital inkjet. We are going to skip the last one, digital inkjet. Probably, everyone knows what it is. So now we're going to see one by one these 4 types of printmaking techniques: relief, intaglio, lithography, screen printing. So let's see the first type of printmaking. Okay, so relief print make the print plates raised area hold ink like this. So this image is the side view of the printing plate. So the term relief describes any printing method in which the image to be printed is raised from a background. So let's see the process in detail. So the first step, an image is designed and is prepared for transfer to the block surface. So here is the image to print, and then maybe an artist to draw the image on the block for the relief printing. And then step 3, the surface area that will not be printed is curved away like this. So in that case, the artist, get removed of all the background part except for the image area on the block. And then step 4, the remaining protruding surface is carefully inked. So this raised area hold the ink to print. And step 5, the raised inked area is transferred to the surface to be printed, like the paper. So that is the basic concept of relief printing process. And there are 3 popular ways of relief printing. So the first one is woodcut, and the next one is wood engraving, and the last one is linocut. So woodcut is that an artist curves an image into the surface of a block of wood, typically with the gauzes. So it goes to it shows like this. So so this is woodcut. So as you can see, probably the artist curved the area, the images outline and the image area, and then just to leave the background like this. So the the background part is raised part, and that part holds the ink to print like this. And the wood engraving. Wood engraving is a printmaking and a letterpress printing technique in which an artist works an image or a matrix of images into a block of wood. So we just saw the process, the first page here. So this is a wood engraving. So the artist leave the image area, right? And then they curved out all the background part. So that is um, wood engraving. So here is an example of wood engraving. So see, um, so the artist get rid of all the background part and some inside of the image area to make it white, to make it light part, and just to leave the images outlines. So that is wood engraving. And the last one is lino cut. Lino cut is also called linoleum cut because so for these two, wood cut and wood engraving use the wood block like MDF panel. But for the lino cut, artists use like this linoleum plate, so which is very flexible and very soft. So it is very easy to curve like this. So this is I did what I did like this. So it's just like erasers texture. And it is similar to the wood cut and the wood engraving. So for the lino cut, artists can proceed the both of the techniques like wood cut and wood engraving, just changed the medium to curved out. So see, this is going to be same technique, just different medium for the relief printing. So I'm gonna share a video of the relief printing for your understanding.
This is MDF, so there's no grain. And this is a drawing that I've transferred to the MDF.
So MDF is a wood panel.
The tools that I use, old textile tools. So I got U-gouges, a different assortment of sizes, V-gouge. And then I would tone the block with an acrylic so I can see my mark, what I've done here with the graphite. Because if I was just to make a mark in the wood without toning it, you can't really see what you're doing. Lay some color down, boom, it really pops out. After I've gotten all of my detail outline work out of the way, then I will go in with a bigger U-gouge, carve around the whole piece so you get bigger, much larger marks. A couple of those next to each other, and then just keep hacking away. This was once 3/4 inch, and now it's at some points down to like not even a half an inch. So I've gone and
So here's my question, everyone. So is this relief printing wood cut or wood engraving? Which one? Which one do you think? Now we can see the image outline on the MDF.
Would it be wood engraving?
Woodcut.
Wood engraving. Yes, this is a wood engraving. Yes, you got it. Very good.
just chiseled out all that. Makes it look really clean. It confuses people. Is that a woodcut or is that a screen print? So that's what I like to go for. The first part of printing is getting a nice ink palette going. This is a Japanese ink. Basically, what you're looking for is a nice velvet kind of sheen. You don't want to put too much ink. I want that porridge just perfect. This is just caveman registration right here, just so I know where to put the paper and where to put the actual block. I like to wet the paper, really nice rich blacks, pretty good details. Line it up with my registration. Put the blocks down. Ensure no movement of the paper. So we'll roll it through the 15th century copying machine. No electricity needed. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is the result. Oh, pretty much cute. So with this plate, he can reproducing the image, anytime he wants. All right. So that was relief printing. And the next one, intaglio. So intaglio is kind of hard to understand, how how it works. So let's see. So intaglio print make the print plates incised area hold the ink. Can you imagine it? The incised area, not the top part, the incised area hold the ink to print. So let's see the process in detail. So the first one, like a relief, artists have to design or prepare an image to print like this. And then step two. So for the intaglio, most of intaglio requires to use a metal plate, not the block, wood block or the linoleum things. They use a metal plate like copper. So this is probably a metal plate, and then using a sharp tool, the artist incises the image into the plate like this. So make a scratch on the plate. And then number three, the plate is inked. And then number four, the surface of the plate is white, and removing all ink except in the grooves. For here in the step four, the artist make a scratches, to draw the image. Then that scratched part, the hold the ink like this. So the surface of the plate, the ink on the surface of the plate is going to be removed out, except for the image part, the incised part. And then step four, paper is placed on the plate and it is pressed. And number six, the paper lifts the ink out of the grooves and the ink is imprinted on the paper. And this is the final image for the intaglio printing. So intaglio is exactly the reverse of relief, in that the area meant to print are below the surface of the printing plate. And the artist uses a sharp tool or acid to make depressions like lines, grooves, or pits on the metal plate. And when the plate is inked, the ink sinks into the compressions. So then the surface of the plate is wiped clean when the damped paper is brought into contact with the plate under pressure. And the plate is pushed into the depressions to pick up the image. So that is the basic concept of intaglio, and there are diverse types of intaglio in art, but we are going to see three, the most popular intaglio printmaking types. So the first one is dry point, and the next one is etching, and the third one is aquatint. So the terms are not familiar with us. So that is the most the toughest part. So let's see each techniques in detail. So dry point of the intaglio. So a dry point is similar to engraving, except that the cutting instrument used is a dry point needle. So they use needle. They required to draw something by needle on the plate. So the artist draws on the plate, usually a copper plate, and almost as freely as one can draw on paper with a pencil. And as the needle scratches across the plate, it raises a burr or thin ridge of metal. If left in place, the burr will hold ink along with the incised line, producing a soft, slightly burred line when printed. So the result looks like this. So it looks like a pencil drawing, right? So I will share a video to see to make this dry point print.
Inked and printed with a press. The dry point line creates a burr which catches the ink. I'm using an Akua printmaking plastic plate.
So she's using acrylic plate to do the dry point, and see she scratches all the line. She's drawing this lobster by scratching the plate like this.
It's very soft and easy to incise and press into.
So this is like sandpaper roller to make scratches on the plate.
This is a line roulette dry point tool. It leaves an impression of a series of short lines. Rich darks are created by overlapping and cross-hatching. This roulette has a random dot pattern, which creates tonal values and textural effects. Needle-tip dry point tools offer fine lines on top of the roulette marks or on top of the smooth surface of the plate. The image is finished and ready to be inked up for printing. I'm going to use Akua Intaglio soy-based ink right from the jar. Akua Intaglio ink is perfect for printing a dry point plate. The ink is applied gently with a piece of mat glue. Once the plate is completely covered with a thin layer of ink, Akua wiping fabric is used to wipe away excess ink. An inky piece of wiping fabric rolled into a ball is used first. Akua wiping fabric is recommended because it is softer than tarlatan, yet more absorbent than cheesecloth.
So now she's removing the inks on the surface of the plate. And see, the image area holds the ink. The incised area holds the ink when she removed the ink on the surface.
Akua Intaglio ink will not skin or harden on the wiping fabric. To remove more plate tone and create a higher contrast print, I will continue to wipe the plate with a tuning piece of wiping fabric. Once the desired amount of ink is removed, the plate is run through an etching press along with a piece of dampened paper. When printing with the Kuo-Intaglio ink, it is very important that the paper is just slightly damp. If the paper is too wet, the print will dry hazy.
So the wet paper absorbed the ink from the plate.
An hour ago, I sprayed the paper, then placed it in a plastic bag. Blotting before printing will ensure that the paper is not too wet. For easy registration, I prepared a template and placed it on the press bed. As the plate goes through the press, the ink is being transferred from the plate to the paper. The high pigment load in a Kuo-Intaglio Mars Black highlights the velvety appearance of the dry point line.
Like this. So that is the dry point. Now she just used a needle to draw the image like this. See, this is amazing. Okay, so that was dry point in Intaglio. So the next technique, the Intaglio printing technique is etching. So etching is done with acid that eat lines and depressions into a metal plate, much as sharp tools cut those depressions in the method. So the differences between the dry point and etching is the acid. So the dry point, this dry point, the artist use only the needle to create the image. However, the etching, it's just go over the same process using the needle to draw the image on the plate, but to make a deeper depression, it requires to use acid. So here is the process. So step one, the artist coats the entire plate, printing plate, with an acid resistant substance called a ground. So here, the plate is coated with the ground. And then step two, the artist draws on the coated plate with an etching needle like this. So basically the needle plays a role to make a scratch, to get rid of the ground. And then the needle removes the ground, exposing the bare metal in area meant to print. And step three, the entire plate is dipped in an acid bath. Only the portions of the plate intact. And the ground, the last step is the ground is removed and the plate is inked and printed. So see, this is the etching printing. So it looks like deeper than the dry points printing, like this, because by using acid, artists can make a deeper shading on the plate like this. So let me share a video to show about the how to create
ground,
the etching
and of course you'll need a plate. The next thing you'll need to do is use the brush to apply the ground.
So this is the ground to coat the plate.
You may choose to dab the brush because you don't want brush strokes, you just want a smooth surface. Then allow the ground to dry on the plate. Allow ample time for this to happen. It may be several hours. Overnight is a good idea. Next, you'll begin to scratch off the areas that you want to be black.
Like this. After the ground is dried, he just create an image by the scratching the grounded plate. So this scratched part is going to be make a depression by the acid, and the other part is covered by the ground. So these are safe for the depression.
You might achieve this by scratching in a crosshatch pattern or perhaps using squiggly lines. You can use any sharp tool to accomplish this. In this case, I prepared my plate using a leather punch. Here's a look at the completed plate for this etching. Now you'll need to gather your supplies for the acid part of this process. You'll need acid, gloves, eye protection, and an etched plate. In this case, I'm using copper etching solution. You may order this from the internet, or you may pick it up at your local art supply. Next, you'll pour the acid into a container and drop the etched plate into the acid bath. You'll now allow the acid bath to bite into the plate. Everywhere where there is not ground, the acid will bite into the plate. Brush away the bubbles during this process. This process may take anywhere from several seconds to several minutes, depending on the strength of the acid used.
Okay.
Clean the ground from the plate using either acetone or some other paint thinner. Now gather your ink supplies. This will include oil-based printing ink and some type of card. Add a dab of ink to the plate. Next, spread the ink around with the card. Be sure to force the ink into the grooves of the plate. Now you may choose to use newspaper or cheesecloth and gently wipe away the ink from the surface of the plate. Here's what
So like this, when you remove all the ink on the surface of the plate, the bite area from the acid hold the ink.
prepared plate should look like. Now lay the prepared plate onto the press.
So this is going to be same as the dry point. So you're going to use the damped paper to print it. And then, so it looks like this.
Run the plate through the press and gently pull away the print from the plate, pulling from one corner.
See?
Here's a look at the completed print and the plate beside each other.
Like this. So that was the etching of intaglio technique. So, and the third intaglio technique is aquatint. So, aquatint is a way of achieving flat of tone gray values or intermediate values of color. So it doesn't need a needle to draw something on the plate. So like this, the artist doesn't need a needle to draw on the plate, and only the artist need is ground and powder and acid. So so the artist first dust it with finely powdered resin, and the plate is heated so that the resin sticks to it. And resin resists acid. So when the plate is immersed in acid, the acid will bite all around the resin particles, producing a pitted surface that holds ink evenly. And the artist block non-printing area with the ground and the brush and dip the entire plate into an acid bath. And the ground is removed and the plate is inked and printed. So that is the basic process of aqua tint. So the differences is they don't use acid. They don't use, needle, and they just use the acid and the ground to create an image. So let me share a video to show the process. So he just applied the resin powder and now he is heating the powder to stick to the plate. You see, this is the ground, the same ground, we just saw in the etching printing. So he's covering some part of the plate where he doesn't want to make a depression. So that is the acid bath. So like this, he's just, keep putting it back and, the acid and covering some areas to make, less depressions. And then, let's see. Like this. And when it's ready, he's removing all the ground from the plate. Can you see this? Some part, has the depression, which means it has the incised part. And the incised part is going to be imaged print. And now he's gonna print. So, and applying the ink and clean the background ink except for the image area. And with the damp paper, he is just finished the print. Like this. So as you can see, there is no, line drawings on this aqua tint print. So that is the biggest difference between the, with the other intaglio technique. So like this, see? So this is the aqua tint work product. So see, there's no line drawing, compared to the, etching printing result. this because they don't require to use the needle to create an image. All right. So now let's move on to the lithography. Lithography printing technique is a totally different techniques with the relief and intaglio. So, you know, the relief printing, they shows like, you know, holding the ink on the raised area, and the intaglio printing technique shows the that the, you know, the inside the area holds the ink. But the lithography, it doesn't matter with the, you know, where the you know, which part is going to be hold the ink. So it's totally different technique. So like you see, so the image area on the lithography plate just hold the ink, and non-image areas repel the ink. But there is no scratches or depressions by acid, just a plain plate. So let's see in detail. So the artist designed the image to be printed like this. And so here, so for the lithography, in a traditional way, most of the artists use limestone for the print. So, and they use grease pencil to make an image on the plate like this. Just, you know, the artist can draw an image on the plate with the grease pencil. So the design is drawn onto the limestone, blocking the pores. And number 3, and the stone is treated with acid and other chemicals that are brushed onto its surface. Then the surface is wiped clean with the solvent such as kerosene. So the acid is not for the depression, just, you know, to make a chemical effect on the plate. And step 4, the stone is sponged so that the water can be observed into the pores of the stone. And step 5, the oil-based ink is repelled by the water and sits only areas where the oil crayon image was drawn. So only this, the image area, which is drawn by the grease pencil, hold the ink. And step 6, the paper is laid on the surface of the stone, and it is drawn through a press like this. And step 7, the print is removed from the stone, and the completed image appears in the reverse compared with the original design. So let me share a video to show the process of the lithography. So she's just sketching something on the limestone plate. So she's using limestone for the lithography.
Before coming here, I was not using printmaking.
And she's using grease pencil.
Paint, so lithography feels quite close to the feeling to painting or drawing directly on paper. I like it because it's quite painterly, and yeah, is very close to my sensitivity. The feeling is close to do it, but actually in the print process, there are many accidents, and I'm very quick normally on the drawings, but with the printmaking, I need to be more thinking of what I'm doing. It is going to be reproduced many times, whether with the drawing or painting, everything is happening there. Taking a drawing on like a stone or a plate, it feels a little bit more precious, you know. You plan and you put layers on it, so there is a bit more planning. You have a little bit more pressure on you.
And that is the ink.
You need to constantly think about that the image is going to be mirrored. But even when you're drawing, actually, it's like on a piece of paper, you normally like.
So like this. Now the image area, which is drawn with the grease pencil, hold the ink, and other area is repelling the ink.
Normally start from the left. But then sometimes when I print, I say, oh, okay, that obviously looks different because the figure that it meant to be on the left is on the right. It's quite demanding. I mean, I enjoy that part, maybe because I enjoy materials. In my BA, I did sculpture, and I'm quite, linked into materials, and I quite enjoy the physical labor of printmaking.
See, like this. So that is lithography. So lithography is a planographic process, which means that the printing surface is totally flat. It is not raised as in relief or depressed as in intaglio. To make a lithography print, the artist draws the image on the stone with greasy materials. So when the stone is inked, the greasy ink sticks to the greasy drawing. And the last print technique we are going to see is screen printing. Screen printing is called silk screen or serigraphy as well. So there is a screen for the screen printing, and the ink passes through areas of the screen that are not blocked. So this gray area is blocked with the special medium, and then this area is open holes, so the ink can go through the printing area. So traditionally, this printing technique is used for T-shirt printing. So screen printing is a printing technique where a mesh is used to transfer ink onto a substrate, except in the areas made impermeable to the ink by a blocking stencil. This. And this screen is a fine mesh of silk or synthetic fiber mounted in a frame, rather like a window screen. Working from drawings, the printmaker blocks screen area that are not meant to print by plugging the holes so that no ink can pass through, and the screen is placed over paper, and the ink is forced through the mesh with a tool called this squeegee. And only the area not stopped out allow the ink to pass through on the paper like this. So let me share the last video to see the screen printing process.
You're gonna need a screen, a squeegee, and some photo emulsion. This stuff comes in two parts. You're gonna add a little water to the little bottle of sensitizer and mix it up. That loosens it from the sides of the bottle, and then you can pour it into the emulsion. Then you're gonna mix that all together really, really well until it's a consistent green color.
So this ground is going to hold the screen.
It might take a little while, but you want to make sure that you get it fully consistent. Once you have it, you pour a little bit of it onto the screen. You don't need to use very much because it spreads really thin once you use a squeegee. Make sure to get the entire thing covered where your art's going to be and make sure it's really, really even. Now don't leave this out in the light. Put a fan on it to dry and turn the lights off. You want it to dry in the dark. Once it's dry,
because this ground is so sensitive to the light, so when it exposure from the light, then the ground doesn't work to block the the holes of the screen.
you do want to work quickly because this stuff is photosensitive. So the longer the light's on it, the quicker it's going to set. Print out your art on some transparencies, and you can do this at any office supply store, and then lay them backward on the back of the screen. Lay a piece of glass over them to push them down against the screen, and then set a really bright light on top of it for about 30 or 45 minutes. So while we're waiting on that, I want to tell you about this. In this box is a quick
Okay.
you actually need. This may take a little bit of time, and sometimes you may have mistakes. If you have areas that are mistakes or stuff you don't want to print yet, you can use some tape to cover them up. Use painter's tape and not duct tape. The duct tape will rip off the emulsion. Now lay out your shirt and place your screen, then add a nice thick bead of the screen printing ink. It's best to have somebody else hold your screen and then pull the squeegee down across your print.
Like this. So that is the silk screen. Pretty much cool. So this is a silk screen screen printing work. Looks like a solid acrylic printing, right? So for screen printing, artists use one screen frame for each color. So for this work, the artist used one frame for this ivory color, this color, and one is for the light gray, and one is for the medium gray, and one is for the the dark gray, maybe navy. This is navy. Okay, and one is for the background, and the red. And the red has two frames, which one is lighter and the other one is darker. So for the background, maybe the artist used just one frame to make a gradation with the two color on the screen. So I guess the artist used 7 screen frames for this silk screen work. So that's a lot. It looks like a great work of art with excellent technique. Okay, so that's it for this chapter. Printing is kind of tricky to understand without visually watching so how to do it. So please watch all the videos again with which are in week 6. And excuse me, we have a discussion today related to what we just learned. So this is it. So everyone, please go to discussion 6.1 after this meeting. And please answer this question. So you will see the video links we just watched together, and please rewatch them and choose one of the traditional printing technique and tell us a brief printing features and process. So please post it by tonight, and by tomorrow, please reply to your peers.